Hi, welcome to the Crypto Republic. Before we dive in, if you're serious about staying ahead in this once-in-a-lifetime financial shift, make sure you like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Republic. This is where we break down the insider moves, the market mechanics, and the truth about XRP that nobody else is telling you. Stay informed, stay early. Listen closely, because what I'm about to say could be the biggest financial story of this year. XRP is on the brink of a move that's going to blindside both retail investors and Wall Street institutions. Like it or not, this price explosion is setting up right now. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. Now, I know you heard wild XRP predictions before, $100, $1,000, but today I'm not here to give you empty hype. I'm here to break down exactly why this is different, what's happening behind the scenes that most nobody's talking about, and why the fundamentals lining up right now are unlike anything XRP has ever experienced before. Think back for a second. Every major financial revolution, whether it was the rise of the internet, the explosion of the smartphone, or even Bitcoin's run to 2 trillion in market cap, all of these moves had one thing in common. Most people ignored the signs until it was too late. XRP is entering the same setup, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through why I believe a massive supply and demand squeeze is coming, and why this is one of the rare times you don't want to get caught sitting on the sidelines. I'm going to show you how institutional adoption, DeFi, growth, and looming supply shock could send XRP to levels that once seemed impossible. This is the video you'll wish you saw before the breakout. So buckle up. Over the next few chapters, we're going to cover XRP's history, the catalysts unfolding right now, the myths that skeptics keep pushing, and most importantly, where I see XRP realistically heading this next cycle. Let's jump in. All right, before we talk about where XRP is going, we need to understand where it's been, because history isn't here. It's the foundation for why the next move is going to be so explosive. Let's rewind to 2021, bull run. Most coins were absolutely flying. Bitcoin doubled, Ethereum broke new all-time highs, Solana went parabolic, and XRP, it was stuck in the mud. A lot of people wrote it off as a dead project. They said XRP had its time back in 2017, it's never coming back. But here's the thing nobody ever tells you. XRP wasn't underperforming because it was weak. It was handcuffed. The SEC lawsuit was like putting weights on its ankles during a marathon. Exchanges delisted it. Liquidity dried up. The biggest bull run in crypto history came and went while XRP was sitting on the sidelines. And yet, despite all that, the network survived. Developers kept building. Ripple kept forming partnerships, and the XRP community didn't go anywhere. That's not weakness, ladies and gentlemen, that's resilience. Fast forward to today. The lawsuits behind us. Exchanges. XRP is back on nearly every major platform it got delisted from. Institutional interest bigger than ever. This isn't the XRP of 2021. This isn't the XRP that skeptics love to laugh at. This is a completely different environment. We move from a period of suppression into a period of acceleration. And when you remove the brakes from a car that's already built to go fast, you better believe it's going to go flying. And for those of you who don't remember 2017, XRP didn't just go up a little, it exploded thousands of percents. That's the kind of historical move that still echoes across this space. Now, am I saying it's going to do the exact same thing again? No. Markets don't repeat perfectly, but they do rhyme. And the setup we're seeing today has many of the same ingredients, only now with even bigger catalysts on the horizon. Stick with me. I'm going to break down XRP's past performance, the cycles, the numbers to show you assets and show you why the best case for XRP in this next run is $10 to $20 and why the upside potentially goes far, far beyond that. Okay, let's talk numbers because history doesn't lie. If you really want to understand where XRP could go next, you got to study its past performance. Not to copy paste old charts, but to recognize the patterns. Back in 2017, XRP pulled off one of the greatest moves in crypto history. The kind of performance that cemented XRP's place in the crypto conversation forever, of lore, of legend, and why even today so many people are still watching it closely. Now let's fast forward to 2021. Everyone was waiting for XRP to run, but it barely moved compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even Solana. Why? Like we talked about, the SEC had XRP in a chokehold. Exchanges delisted it. It was basically locked in the basement while the party was happening upstairs. So while other assets hit all-time highs, XRP couldn't even stretch its legs. And here's what's crucial. People use that underperformance to say XRP is done. But that's short-sighted. because when you take the chains off an asset that's already proven it can explode in the right conditions, you get a setup that's even more dangerous for those betting against it. Think about this. Every major cycle in crypto has had one or two assets that shocked the world with their growth. In 2017, it was XRP and Ethereum. In 2021, Solana and Avalanche stole headlines. So the question becomes, what's the shocker of this next cycle? And when you factor in utility, regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, and the fact that XRP missed its 2021 breakout, it starts to look like XRP is one of those strongest candidates to step into that role this time around. Now, let's be clear. Do I think XRP is going to 100 overnight? No. But do I think a move into the $10 to $20 range this cycle is absolutely on the table? 100%. That's not fantasy, that's math. Based on historical percentage gains, supply dynamics, and upcoming catalysts we're about to cover, and here's the kicker. That's the conservative case. If institutional demand hits the way I believe it will, those higher price predictions that people laughed at today could quickly move from the impossible to the inevitable. So here where it gets really exciting, absolutely exciting. We've looked at history, we've compared the cycles, but what's happening right now is what matters most. I'm going to show you the catalysts unfolding as we speak. ETFs, corporate treasuries, DeFi growth, tokenization, all of which are pouring gasoline on fire for XRP. Stick around, because once you see the size of these catalysts, you'll understand exactly why I keep saying an XRP explosion is coming, whether you like it or not. Now that we've looked at XRP's past and where it could go realistically, based on history, let's talk about the fuel. And XRP right now has more fuel piling up than it's ever had before. The first catalyst is the elephant in the room, ETFs and institutional financial products. We've already seen what happened when Bitcoin ETFs launched early this year. Billions of dollars flooded in almost instantly, giving Bitcoin a tailwind no one could deny. Now imagine that same model but applied to XRP. With regulatory clarity, the infrastructure is clearly there. Custody, solutions, compliant exchanges, and the banks that can actually touch XRP without fear. The first time we see an XRP ETF application hit the wires, that's not just news, that's history, because it opens the floodgates for institutional capital that's been sitting on the sidelines for years. Now let's talk about corporate treasury. We're seeing companies experiment with adding Bitcoin, Ethereum to their balance sheet, but XRP has something the others don't, a clear use case in payments and cross-border settlement. If you're a CFO and you can reduce friction, cut costs, settle international transactions in seconds by holding a little XRP, once one big player does it, the dominoes start to fall. Remember, Tesla opened the door for Bitcoin. Who's going to be the Tesla moment for XRP? Then there's partnerships. Ripple is already working with over 300 financial institutions worldwide. From SBI Holdings in Japan to Sendera, these are real-world banks and payment providers moving real money. And here's the key. They don't have to announce we're using XRP every time. The infrastructure Ripple is building has XRP at the center. So adoption is happening quietly under the hood. The moment these flows start scaling, the demand side of the equation for XRP could catch everyone off guard. And let's not forget DeFi and tokenization. Everyone's talking about real-world asset bonds, stocks, real estate, moving on-chain. Right now, Ethereum is leading that race. But Ripple has been building the plumbing to get in the game. We've already got pilot programs where entire currencies and debt instruments are tokenized and settled through Ripple's tech. When governments and mega institutions decide to tokenize trillions of dollars worth of assets, do you really think XRP won't be in the conversation? It's built for this. So we've got ETFs, treasuries, partnerships, and tokenization. 4 massive catalysts stacking on top of each other. And we're not even done yet, because next we got to talk about the big money players who are circling XRP right now. This is where things get serious, because retail investors like you and me can move a market short term, but institutions create generational wealth moves. Ripple is already integrated with payment corridors around the globe. The banks aren't shouting it from the rooftops, but they are testing, they are onboarding, and they are preparing. When a major bank flips the switch and says, yes, we are officially settling with XRP, you better believe headlines will follow, and with headlines comes FOMO. We also need to look at asset managers. Firms like BlackRock, Fidelity, and WisdomTree aren't ignoring XRP. They're studying it, waiting for the right moment. Remember, these firms don't chase retail hype. They wait until they have regulatory clarity and liquidity. Then they deploy billions in one shot. The moment XRP has that green light, institutions that once looked cautious suddenly become aggressive. And that's when supply crunch meets demand surge. And here's the key. Institutions don't just want speculation. They want utility. They want assets that do something. XRP isn't just a token, it's a settlement mechanism, a bridge asset, and potentially one of the most important tools for global liquidity in the digital era. But listen, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And if you're betting on XRP, you need to know the risks as well as the rewards. So let's cover that next. Let's keep it real. XRP is not a guaranteed moonshot. There are risks. Regulations could shift again. Ripple could face more legal pressure in other jurisdictions. Utility adoptions could be slower than expected. And of course, crypto markets are volatile. A 50% drawdown can happen overnight. So don't listen to anyone telling you it's risk-free. That's not investing, that's gambling. But here's the flip side. The rewards are massive. If XRP captures just a slice of cross-border payment markets or even a fraction of a global tokenization wave, we're talking trillions of dollars in volume that could flow through the network. This is not hype, this is math. The asymmetrical setup here is exactly why smart money pays attention. You risk a little, you potentially gain lifetime-changing upsides. Your mindset should be simple. Don't overextend. Don't gamble what you can't afford to lose. But don't sleep on the opportunity either, because the worst place to be when XRP takes off is on the sidelines watching it happen. All right, we've talked history, catalysts, institutions, risks, and rewards. Let's bring it all together and lay out the game plan. Now, I'm not here to give you financial advice, but I can share how I think about XRP. For me, it's about allocation. I don't need to go all in. Even a small position of a portfolio could be enough to move the needle if XRP does what I think it will. I also look at time horizon. XRP isn't about flipping in a week. It's about holding through cycles, letting adoption curve play out. Patience, ultimate edge in crypto. When I put it all together, the 2017 history surpassed the 2021 cycle. The catalyst building right now, the institution circling, and the asymmetrical setup. I can't help but come to one conclusion. XRP's breakout isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of time. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Turn on notifications, and most importantly, subscribe to the Crypto Republic, bringing you the truth about XRP, global banking, moves, and the wealth transfer already unfolding. Don't just watch history happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, stay in the Republic.